Hello, a very good day to you and welcome to another episode of the Kanini Talk here on Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. Remember, this is your most comprehensive political analysis show. Here we converse on various issues that are affecting the country, and I'm so glad that you joined us for this episode. Many thanks. I'm joined by Professor Herman Manyora here. How are you, sir?
Good. Very good.
I can see you back in the city.
Yes, back in the city.
Something is happening down there in Kakamega County, and I see a number of individuals there, especially around Cabras area, are decrying loss of jobs after the factories down there the sugar milling factories down there closed down due to lack of mature cane to produce actually sugar. So we are looking at a situation whereby people have lost jobs, and we are having this sugar cane crisis, the sugar crisis in the country. The government is talking of importing sugar from abroad. I mean, why do you think that we found ourselves in such kind of a scenario as a country? Are we not capable of producing enough sugar?
Over the years, we have had sugar shortages. Most of them artificial.
Okay.
I have always, over the years, been surprised how factories, all of them, would close for maintenance at the same time. That has never made sense to me. And they close at a time they don't have enough stocks to last until after the maintenance. Number two, the so-called shortage. I was once in a high-level meeting of researchers and what have you, and they kept talking of a shortage of I don't know how many metric tons. I asked them, who has ever ascertained this shortage? How sure are we? Nobody has ever ascertained the shortage. There's just a figure they float around. That figure is that three, whether it was 300,000 or what, I can't remember. It had a 30 or something. Number three, when you get to the current situation, how come even sugar factories are still being opened, new ones? I see one standing conspicuous when I'm going home using road, Paskericho, Konoin or somewhere like that, in the sharp corner there. They have just finished a sugar factory. Just started this year or last year. There's another one, I don't know whether there are two or more in Western. And number four, the issue of Mumias. Mumias has thrown out of confusion in the sugar sector.
Okay.
Especially in terms of who can be given the mill to run. So much politics, more heat than light. So you bring in somebody and he doesn't even care. These farmers who are people who are planting, who have planted cane, how did they start? Some of them have been supported by companies like West Kenya. They have contracted farmers. They have helped them. They do your land. They bring seed. They bring fertilizer. And then somebody from nowhere comes to harvest. Then because in the case of Mumias, so much of that sugar is around Mumias, but it was not, the farmers were not supported by Mumias because Mumias was down. They were supported by others like West Kenya Sugar.
Okay.
And now, because they can see a lot of sugar around there, they say, let us zone to lock out others, never minding that those others are the ones who supported these farmers. So those kind of things are really throwing out of challenges around. And as we speak, of course, people are at home. But what is sad is that those going to import sugar is not like in the ancient, sometimes in the past, where when there's no sugar, you give it to millers to import. Now I hear other people, I'm not sure, but I hear other people have been given licenses. They tried that with the maize, and that's why we could not bring maize in the country. Instead of giving import licenses or permits to millers, they gave to buccaneers.
And that is why, this is actually where I'm kind of basing my next question here, Prof, because definitely I understand from the information that I have gathered so far is that the factory management are actually saying that they are low on cane. They cannot actually mill the current cane that they are having because it's not yet mature, and they're decrying, saying that the government has refused to give them that kind of permit to import sugar. Instead, the government has decided to bring in other private companies, or rather other private business people to actually have been given that kind of chance to import the sugar from outside. So what then do you think would be the impact of this? Is it that the sugar milling factories should be given the first kind of priority when it comes to importation in case the country falls short of sugar? Should we go the government's way?
That's the logical way. The logical thing is to give the millers the chance to import sugar.
So why do you think the government is not doing that?
But we want to make money. Why are you asking such a stupid question? They want to make money. Yeah. They just want to make billions.
These people are crying here. And I think I wonder why everything, even when it comes to economic development, everything is tied to politics. But there we have all that. We had the other time people talking of tea, the tea farmers crying in central Kenya, coffee and all that. And of course, the deputy president was quick to go there. And I understand that some people were even forced to resign from their various positions. But then we saw the kind of stand that the deputy president took towards dealing with the, so he calls coffee cartels, dealing with the tea cartels therein, and talking of how to improve the lives of coffee farmers down there. On the other side, the people from Western Kenya are saying that Mudavadi is silent about what is taking place in Mumias, what is taking place in Kabras, what is affecting the people down there. Do you then think that perhaps this it's now actually time for Mudavadi to come up and defend the people of Western Kenya? And how do you think it's easier for him not to do that, owing to the fact that perhaps even when these private business people are being given permits, he must have been aware, so to say?
You know, there are many ways of looking at it, but let's say it's a big game. It's a game of big money. Where there's big game and big money, it cannot be played at a low level. It's played by the big boys up there.
Okay.
In both the political and business circles, for the big boys. So Mudavadi may either be a beneficiary because he's also a big boy, or the big boys may be too big for him.
Okay.
That's number one. Number two, by his very nature, and he's not a bad man, Mudavadi has not had that thing of helping people. He doesn't have it in him. Yeah. I've never seen him come up with anything that can be said to be, I'm doing this for the people. I've never seen. Not for his own people. No. Even when he was in lucrative ministries. And you can't blame him. There are people, you can't blame him. There are people who are like that. They were just wired like that. Their DNA reads like that. There are people, if they see something, an opportunity, they think of somebody. Even if you are somewhere and somebody is looking for a driver, you ask yourself, is there anybody who has been asking me they want to be driver? You know that kind of thing? Some people are like that. Others are not wired like that. Even if the opportunities are around them, and they are there, they are not bad people. They don't hate anybody. They are simply not wired that way. So Mudavadi is wired in such a way that issues of people don't concern him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's why.
So, so even as a politician, it has never bothered him about Mumias. These politicians were all there when pan paper was sold for a song.
Okay.
A song. It just went like that. They are not. You know, some people also, they are not politicians. They are just there, but they're not politicians.
Definitely. But right
because
now,
a politician is the person who fights.
Right now, Musalia is holding a very influential post in the government right now. Yes. Definitely. They are in Moses Wetangula as well. Yes. Atuoli has decided to work with the government. These are senior leaders from the Western region who are actually in contact with the government directly.
Why can't they revive?
Why is it that it's so difficult for them?
Why can't they revive Mumias?
That is what I'm asking. Why is it so difficult? Because at the end of the day, during the political periods, during the campaign periods, these people are using Mumias, Kabras, and all other sugar milling factories as a sort of a campaign tool. Is this the same trend that we're going to follow through? That come 2027, we are still going to hear promises of we are going to work with the government to ensure that Mumias is back functioning, Kabras. So.
And the sad bit, the very sad bit, you don't need a lot of money to solve the sugar issue is a big issue. The sugar industry in this country is much bigger in terms of issues than we can handle here. But while if we were to allow ourselves just to say sugar growing is a good thing, let it go on, I know it's not. I know we cannot grow sugar profitably in this country the way we are going. In fact, like Mumias, the land sizes have become smaller and smaller. It started in 1972, I think, thereabouts. A man could have 20, 30 acres under cultivation. That man got children. And the space available for sugar became less and less. Those children now have children. So there's not much land for. So, and then the husbandry. But if we forget that, we just look at Mumias can be revived. Zoya can be revived. It's very little money. Very little money. It is surprising how little money you need to revive those sugar companies. Very little money. So it's shameful. It's actually shameful because the word now around is the people of Mount Kenya are pushing to have some of their loans, non-performing loans in that sector, written off. And it won't be the first time. It won't be the first time government is pumping billions of shillings in coffee in Mount Kenya and in tea and what have you. It won't be the first time. And the other interventions on Mira and what have you. But for Western, there's never anything because we don't have leaders. Western does not have leaders.
Do you then think that perhaps that could be the difference between Rigathi Gachagua and Mudavadi?
Yeah, Gachagua is fighting for his people. He's fighting.
Well, Mudavadi on the other hand?
Okay, can't. He's just, and I don't blame him. That is his nature. That is his nature.
Because we've not actually seen him come on board talk when those people are going.
It's very little money you need to revive Mumias, and within that understanding that it is possible. I know it's not possible, but within the understanding that Mumias is about paying debts the company owes, creditors. Mumias is about farmers who are owed cane, payment for cane delivered many years ago. Mumias is about developing and how to grow a base, the farmers, dealing with the farmers to help them, to hold their hand, to revive farming. Those who have removed cane, gone to maize, you bring them back, and those who are there, you support them, farmer support. Mumias is about the workers. There are just specific things about Mumias, which with just a little money you can do. I don't think you need more than 10 billion to revive the sugar industry. I'm not so sure. But with 10 billion, because I talked about Zoya, and somebody was telling me Zoya would be okay with about 2 billion shillings, 2-3 billion shillings. And they fly. So if Mumias might maybe 6-7 billion, you can't get to 20 billion. And they will pay all the farmers, pay all the creditors, revive, repair the machines, bring in new ones and what have you. But above all, Mumias is about getting the right investor. Not these wheeler dealers being brought by politicians for a cut. You need like to give Mumias to somebody who has shown they have the capacity to run a sugar mill, support farmers. You get what I'm saying? Support farmers. You need somebody like West Kenya Sugar who have opened sugar branches. They have the main one, they have another, and they have another. I think they have about 3 or 4. And they have supported farmers to grow cane. How would you doubt that if I gave West Kenya to run Mumias, they will not run it? Then you go and bring some fellows from nowhere. And this is being done by politicians. So the first thing in sugar industry is politicians from the region, for once, to think about their people. For once. And not about the money they will get from the deals. Just think about the people. And think about the shame that the people of Western Kenya go through. In terms of other areas, things are moving, but in our area, nothing is moving. That's shame. And then the feeling for the people. And then for the first time, put the interests of Mumias Sugar and the interests of the people in Western Kenya first, ahead of their own interests. And you will see everything sorted out. The only big problem you remain with is sugar growing a viable enterprise in Kenya?
Okay, I was actually listening to the manager, I think, of Cabra's sugar milling factory there talking, and he was saying that on the other side, we've got 1,000 tractors that are actually down there. Those are machines that are supposed to be operating. They're not operating. On this other side, there are also 1,000. And each of those trucks, that makes 2,000. Each of them employs at least 3 people. So all those people have decided now to have been laid off. Over 6,000 people do not have actually any job to do right now, owing to the fact that those factories are not operating right now. What do you think is the best thing that we can do as a country so that we do not run into such kind of a crisis at the end of the day? Because these people have got children to take care of, they've got fees to pay, they've got themselves to feed, and at the end of the day, their families are expecting them back home. But then, right now, 6,000 families
there's what we call short term and long term. In the short term, because we allowed ourselves to find ourselves in such a useless position where we don't have care, short term is to give sugar companies the permits to bring in the sugar. And the council holders for the opportunists, the buccaneers, the people who want to make billions without doing anything, to cut deals, get permits and bring in sugar, flood the market so that even when we begin to harvest cane, there will be no market for that cane. Remove those. Too bad if it has already happened. Give the sugar companies the permits to improve. That's in the short term. If they're importing sugar and they're repackaging it and doing what they need to do it, they will not send people home. At least not empty-handed.
So you're saying that there are cartels in the sugar industry that must be dealt with.
Yeah. If somebody has nothing to do with India, if somebody has nothing to do with production of sugar, he has never sold sugar even 1 kilo, and now he's being given the permit. What is he? This is a buccaneer. This is an opportunist. These are wheeler dealers. Just to make money. Some of them will even sell those permits, like with the maize. You take permit, you don't give the millers, you give it to other people. Then those other people go and ask millers, shake up, let a person. And the millers this time refused. That's why maize flour could not come down. Because they refused. They said you can go and import. And they couldn't because they don't understand how the game works. So they were stuck with their permits. The same thing with sugar. If they try, I hope the sugar millers are sharp. They should refuse to buy those permits from those people.
Okay.
Yeah. So you go and bring the sugar if you want. Now, long term is to find out why we are where we are.
Definitely.
How do we get to a point where we don't have even cane to crush? What is the problem? And then you deal with it. How do you promote farmers? And things of that nature.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are still here. I'd like us to stop that conversation at that particular moment, hoping that the government is listening and the necessary measures will be taken to avert such kind of crisis that we are witnessing in the country right now. Amidst the skyrocketing prices of sugar, definitely if you go right now to the supermarket, the prices therein are unbearable, and we do not want to be in that kind of scenario, rather situation as a country. Please stay tuned to some of our programs that will be coming up here. Of course, Jeriel Kabiru is always here, as well as Richard Mwenja and Brian Mundia with the Opinion Scope. Till we have this conversation again, have yourself a lovely day. My name is Evans Okenyi.